before I forget, anything on Robby Fabbri?
He's out tomorrow. I don't know on Saturday yet. I'll probably have more information for you Friday, but he's out tomorrow for sure.
And it's upper body?
Yeah.
Okay. I know it's Steve's business, the trade deadline, but do you keep an eye on how guys are, even though most of the guys' names who are mentioned are veterans, but just that it's, things aren't getting too caught up in it, kind of. I know you guys have been through it now a few years in a row.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the interesting part for me, just watching and listening and kind of being around is to really see what the trade deadline is going to be like this year. Like, it doesn't feel like there'll be much action this year. Listening to a number of reports and knowing the flat salary cap. I know when I talk to other teams how tight everybody is. It's going to be really difficult for people to make moves. The economics of the whole thing. There's no fans in the stands for the most place, and it's hard to bring in money just to bring in money. And you throw on top of that the whole aspect with the coronavirus and the quarantines that can be required, certainly if you're going to Canada. So, I don't know that the trade deadline this year is as big a deal as it's been in past years at all, to be honest with you. So, I think our guys understand that too. And that doesn't mean that there's not a human, it doesn't mean that they don't know if they'll be traded or not traded, but I don't think it's anything like what it's been in years past. And so I think, our guys are just honestly done a good job of focusing on what they can focus on, and that's their play. And, the guys that are pending UFAs, there's two things that play for any of our players. One is they want to win. They want to make our team better. They want to make our organization better. And then two, they want to play good. So they're putting themselves in a good position moving forward in their own careers. So those things are always, they're always there regardless of the trade deadline. But like I said, I don't know that it's going to be anywhere near the type of trade deadline that you've seen in the past. And I think our players understand that.
I know it's a business side of things, but it's a little tougher not being for us in the locker room at all this year, but just in talking to people, it seems like guys like Bobby Ryan and Sam Gagner, just to name two examples, really have, although they haven't been in Detroit a long time, really seem really popular in the locker room. Like, how tough is it to lose to potentially guys like that just, in a short amount of time seem really to have had a very positive impact, not just on the ice?
Well, I think we got a group of good people, and we've gone through this a number of years. We've lost good people, and that's never easy. But it's just it is part of the business, and I think everybody understands that. And both those guys are really good veterans. In those two in specific, they both are guys that I think understand what it takes to win. They've been on good teams, bad teams. They've seen both sides of it, and I think they've done a good job of imparting that wisdom that they've gained through their own experiences. So that certainly, if it came to a point where we lost guys that are good people, those are losses. But that doesn't mean that they didn't have a positive impact already, and that can't have helped our organization already. So we'll deal with whatever comes. But as I said, it'll be really interesting. I think it's going to be way different than what we've seen in the past. I don't think there'll be anywhere near the same amount of movement.
And lastly, Steve works out of an area in the coaching office this year because of the bubble, right? Is that correct? Or he's not office?
Not necessarily, no.
No. Okay.
I think he works Steve's down with us at different times. He has access to our locker room, but not necessarily, no.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Next up, Ansar Khan, MLive.
Yeah, Jeff, you touched on this just a little bit here, but guys like Ryan and Gagner in particular, veteran guys who've been around, they might have had, probably had other options, but they decided to come here to a rebuilding team. Just how important is for a young team to have that kind of veteran influence, and just for guys like that to kind of set examples both on and off the ice, especially for the younger players?
Well, I think it's important to have good veteran influence, the right kind of veteran influence. And I think Steve's done a good job of bringing in people that have done that. They're going to have an impact on young players. I think anytime you've had a good career and been around a long time, you're looked up to. And when you're looked up to, people tend to emulate a lot of the things you do. And so you need people in your locker room that are veterans that do it right every day, that come to work every day, that are selfless, that have a great work ethic. And I think Steve's done a good job of bringing veterans in here that do that. And those guys certainly have.
And also, you mentioned Fabbri, Bernier, Gagne, Ryan. Have they been cleared for tomorrow?
We'll make that decision tomorrow. Answer, I anticipate, I can't say for sure until tomorrow. So I'll have that information for you tomorrow.
And also, Ronick, Nemeth, Stahl, what's their status?
Hronik and Stahl, I believe is just a maintenance day. I don't see anything that would keep them from playing tomorrow. I think both of them will be available and play tomorrow. Nemeth is questionable for tomorrow.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
Next up, Ted Colfin, Detroit News.
There we go. I was going to ask you about Nemeth. Yeah, was that just he was injured? He wasn't like the odd man out last night?
Nope, he was injured. Yep, he was unavailable. We planned on going with the same lineup, and he was unavailable.
And just two other veterans along those lines, Phil Pula and Nielsen. I mean, let's face it, it hasn't been an easy season for those two guys, but they've sat a lot. But these last few games, you've gotten them in there, and they've kind of made a little bit of contributions. I mean, what does it say about those two guys' character, I guess, basically?
I think it's been critical that those two guys who have sat a lot, who are both have had great careers, are proud people who, that's not an easy thing at all. And what they've done is they've come to work every day to get better, to make sure they were ready when their opportunity came. They've been great leaders, in my opinion. They've done an excellent job of being selfless teammates. I can't, and I can't applaud them enough for that. And certainly any player that's out generally doesn't agree with that decision, which I totally get. I totally understand that. It's not necessarily their job to agree with it. It's my job to make decisions. It's their job to do it right, and they have absolutely done it right. And so I think, because of their approach that they've taken, they were able to step in and play well. And the other thing they've done has been excellent role models for our younger players. So, again, I think Steve's done a good job. Obviously Niels was here before, but just to bring in guys that are the right kind of pros, that are accountable and focus on what they can control.
Man, those couldn't be really easy conversations with those guys either, just telling them, you may not be in a lineup here or something like that.
No, but that's, I think in when you're in the job that I'm in, that's just part of it is having those conversations. And I think everybody in the end respects honesty.
Hey, just one more on the trade deadline. How much does that affect your coaching here, like last week or this week? I mean, keeping people in, keeping people out, maybe using guys in a different role to showcase them. I mean, does all that come into play at all?
It certainly has not at all this year.
Okay.
I think again that speaks a little bit, where the environment's out there in terms of the action. A year ago, I think we ended up holding out AA and Greener because there was a potential of an impending trade, and but it doesn't really have a big effect on us as coaches. We don't, I try to coach to win the hockey game, and in very rare instances in my 6 years have there been a situation where it's affected my coaching outside of pulling people out. But, as I mentioned, it's been extremely quiet out there.
Sounds good. Thanks for this, Jeff.
Next up, Max Boltman, The Athletic.
Hey, Jeff, I just wanted to ask you about Bobby. Did you know him at all prior to this season or?
Bobby Ryan?
Yeah.
I knew Bobby very little, just a little bit. I'd met him in the past, but so I didn't really know him very well, no.
What have you kind of learned about him, coaching him through this past year, both as a person and I guess as a pro?
Great person, cares a lot, is genuinely just a really, really good person. I think he's competitive in his way, probably more competitive than people realize. He's accountable, has wanted to do it right, has really good ability. I think he's skating better this year than he had in the last couple of years, and the league has gotten faster over the time, and I don't think skating was ever his greatest strength. He's got great skill set, but I think he's worked hard at becoming a better skater, which has helped him when he's been healthy here. So I've liked having Bobby.
And then just a guy like that being around this group at kind of this point in where the team is at, what does that add? I mean, to have a guy like that around every day.
Well, I think what you have when people that have been through experiences is you're able to garner their perspective from those learned experiences. And Bobby, again, he's been on some really good teams and some really bad teams, and he knows, he's been around some great players, and he knows what a great player looks like, what a great team looks like. He knows what winning hockey should look like. And he's not alone on our team. There's other guys that can help impart that wisdom, and I think they've done a good job of that. And I think our younger players have learned from that. And when I say younger, I shouldn't necessarily say younger. Our mid-range players, our guys that have been part of this organization, are going to be influenced by guys that come from outside the organization. That can be good or bad. And ultimately, Bobby has helped make it a good influence.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
That's it for us today. Thanks, everyone.